Welcome to You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Walker, and I have as my guest today Garfield Duckett. And Garfield is known around the community for his many activities, and one of them is mentoring. And so we're going to be talking today about the importance of fatherhood and also encouraging men to mentor, because there's such a need for male mentors. Garfield, let's start off by telling me about your experience as a father.
Well, Wanda, my experience as a father is without trying to write a book or anything, it is probably one of my greatest opportunities and blessings outside of being married to my wonderful wife. It is certainly something to work at, something to constantly work on, because it's not any magic, treatments. It's not a potion. There's not a book. You can get some insight from it, but some of my greatest assistance is really being accountable to other men, other fathers. Certainly my faith in God has really helped me to look at how to treat, how to communicate, how to teach and train my children so they can be hopefully great children, great leaders. And I have one son and one daughter, so hopefully they can actually mimic some of the teachings from my wife and I.
Yes, and that's right. They don't come with an instruction manual, do they?
No.
And lots of times we end up parenting like our parents have parented, and sometimes there are things in there that need correction, and so it's nice to have some people who can help us along the way know what to do.
Exactly.
I remember one of my good friends who had children a little bit older than me. She gave me some great advice, and she told me, like, when they're going through their teenage years, to make sure that they know that you love them, regardless of how they are acting. Return love. And she said another good thing that she said to me that was very important is that they're going to remember what you say to them. If it's a heated conversation and they're saying things to you, sometimes you would want to retaliate and say some things, but they're going to remember those remarks, so guard your words. And so that helped me to take a step back and really be deliberate in what I said in those circumstances, and to let my children know that I love them no matter what.
Exactly.
Yes. What are the goals that you've set for yourself as a father, Garfield?
The goals is to really teach them in the ways of my faith and my faith in God. The Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. And so my wife and I have a very strong conviction to, we're not talking about perfection, we're just talking about, through God's help, helping to navigate them through life.
Yes.
So that could mean from teaching them etiquette, manners, how to communicate socially, how to control their emotions, because we live in a society now, everybody's emotional. Everybody's so easily offended, stepping on a shoe doesn't render an apology anymore. They want to, brawl or become very aggressive or dogmatic. So my goal is really, or a few of them, is just really to teach them to first love God, to love people, and to just enjoy life that we're given, because it is so short.
Yes, and that reminds me of my mama, and when I had situations that I was going through, she was always there to talk to me and help guide me through those situations. And I learned that from her, and that was one of my goals for my daughters, is that I wanted, whatever they were going through, I wanted to try and help them, guide them through it in a positive way. And I know I appreciated that from my mama, and I know all children would appreciate that. Sometimes I would think, I wish I just had a coach. But parents are coaches, aren't they?
That's right.
They are, and they're wonderful coaches. Give me an example of a situation you have had when you felt you did a good job as a father.
There were several. I think one of the ones that I can recall is how middle school children, my son is in the middle school, and how there's a lot of jiving, or there's a lot of bullying, or just people just inconsiderate.
Yes.
And so my son had several situations, but one was just really where he just didn't understand why, students talked about one another or put down one another. And I would constantly tell him, son, just be kind, irregardless of what they say. Watch your words, watch what you say. And I know sometimes at the moment, you want to lash back, you want to become just as aggressive as they are. But just remember to keep your composure. Just
Yes.
remember that it's just a phase. And so my son did have one of those encounters, and he came back and told me, Dad, I did what you said. Somebody said something to me or about me, or I saw someone talking to another student, and I encouraged the student, or I kind of encouraged those students, don't treat that person like that. So it made me feel
Yes.
good to know that my son was listening, to know that he felt good about himself, and to model good behavior. And I think
Yes.
my son has really done a great job as he's developing as a young man,
Yes.
to really just honor what his father said, but also feel good about himself
Yes.
in doing it.
Yes, and I'm sure other students saw that behavior. And even the students that were not acting right, I'm sure it made an impression on them. So that's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It is. How did you come to the place where you realized the importance of being a father?
Wanda, you want to say the moment, your wife said, hey, I'm pregnant, or the day of conception.
Yes.
Where I had a wonderful opportunity to be there in the labor room and to, take my babies, and was so proud. But honestly, I would have to say, it's a practice. It's important, but I'm learning something new every day about this role called a father.
Yes.
It is very important, though. How did I come to it? I don't think there was a significant moment. I think the moment that my wife and I decided to have children, and I had to feed them.
Yes.
I had to hear them cry. I had to woo them to sleep. Or when I thought that my time was just as important as theirs, and I realized they needed more time than I did with myself.
Yes.
So the day of their conception, I would have to say that I realized, and I'm still learning,
Yes.
the importance of being a father.
And it's a wonderful experience, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Yes.
It's incredible.
I've had some men in my life who have been wonderful fathers, and while you were talking about that experience, one of them ended up getting a divorce, and the children went with the mother, and he was brokenhearted about that. And the wife ended up remarrying, and that man adopted his children. And it was a situation where he didn't realize that was happening. And when he did realize it, he was heartbroken. And I remember being in church one day, and I just had this real impression that God was grieving for Mike. Or, he knew where Mike was.
Right.
And that it was hurting. He knew Mike was hurting, and it wasn't that, God was saying, well, there's certain things that shouldn't have happened, or you wouldn't be in this situation. He actually was feeling and had love for Mike. And so I think sometimes there are fathers who maybe they've made mistakes, or maybe through no mistake of their own, they're not with their children.
Right.
But even when those things happen, it is so important for the child to know that their father still loves them.
That's right.
And for that father to be in their life as much as he possibly can. And that is for girls and that is for boys.
Exactly.
Everybody needs their father in their life. And so, I want to encourage women who have gone through divorce. And I know when you get a divorce, sometimes there are hard feelings, and you might not want to see that man that you've divorced. But to keep an awareness of how important it is to the children to have a father. And as much as you can, allow that father into the lives of your children. Okay, what advice would you give to fathers in the community, Garfield?
Wow. That is such a passion that I have because I do mentor young men.
Yeah.
If I was ever
you're
allowed,
a father,
right?
You're a father, but that gifting of being a father or that anointing is so much bigger than just to your family, that you father many in the community. And so I really am interested in what you have to say about.
Well, the advice I would give is be there.
Yes.
Just be there. I kind of made it a little anecdote in terms of some acronyms, T's, like 3 T's. Certainly, teach by example. Just, even if you're not present, but just teach by example. Realize that there's a little person.
Yes.
Wanting to know how you do what you do.
Yes.
Wanting to know how you talk. Wanting to know why you groom your hair. Wanting to know why you put on pants. Why you wear a belt. Wanting to know why you wear cologne or why you put on deodorant. Why you say you love your wife, or why you clean up the house, or why you pay the bills. There's a little person wanting to mimic and model everything you do.
Yes.
I never realized the impact or the power of being an example to my own children. Sometimes you could just make a mistake. Oh, they didn't hear me. And later on, they'll reveal to you, they heard you. Many occasions I had to go back, listen, children, I'm sorry. Daddy didn't mean for you to see that or hear that. But it was good for me to know. It's almost like to know that, just like they're talking about this national issue of NASA, not NASA, but international spying going on. Well, my children are my spies.
Yeah.
In a humorous way, but to literally be a person of integrity.
Right.
To know, not to be afraid, but to know that it's a good feeling to know that, wow, I'm impacting someone else who will one day be productive, will one day make a difference as well. So if I could say that, fathers, teach by example.
Yes.
The other thing is to give them an opportunity to talk. Give them an opportunity to talk. Not you to talk, but them to talk. Because they have a lot to say. They see a lot. I'm quite sure nowadays the 21st century child has seen many things that you or I haven't seen in our journey growing. They're seeing faster, quicker. So let them talk.
They need some help processing.
Exactly. And then time, just your time. Even if it's, watching a movie, even if it's, being involved with a sport activity or coming to school, doing lunch. Not try to make it more than it has to be. That son, that daughter will. You be surprised the impact they will have on their son or daughter just by time. So teach by example, allow them to talk, and then just give them the time.
Yes.
Just the time.
Yes. Who was somebody that mentored you, Garfield?
Well, Wanda, I have had so many examples of mentors, and the first part of my young adolescence, not the best, growing up in Philadelphia, but certainly young men who wanted me to do the right thing.
Yes.
And once I had an opportunity to meet in my journey as a Christian, my Lord, my Savior, there were some men that was placed in my life in my early walk through the military, because I spent most of my young adult life in the military in the United States Army. And so these young men, seasoned, married,
yes,
just strong in their faith, and they didn't mind pointing their finger at me and saying, hey, you're doing this wrong, or hey, you need to change that. And so that helped me be humble, because as young men, we're kind of, we like to protect the tree, so to speak. That's my tree, or that's my hydrant, nobody. And so we become aggressive in nature, and we don't allow a lot of people, a lot of men to speak to us. So I had my first encounters to learn how to be humble to other men and know it's okay that they speak to me. It's okay if they correct me, because at the end of the day, they care for me.
Yes.
And it's going to help me now transfer that same information to someone else that I can help.
Yes, and you were telling me about a friend.
Yes. I met, like I said, several gentlemen in the military, but two in particular. One was Eric Butler from California. Another was Seymour Jordan from New York. And another one's from David Edwards from North Carolina. And in my military career, or through my military career, these men, it was interesting, there were seasons where I met them, not all at one time. So it's like in our journey, God will place people in your life through your seasons. And so I can't give anyone more credit than the rest. They're all important to me. They really help me understand my role, and to really cause me to be more focused about my destiny.
Yes.
As a male role model.
Yes, and even I was thinking this morning when I was getting ready, even older brothers can be mentors for children. And I know that some of my older brothers set really good examples. My brother Bill was a deacon in the church, and my brother Robert was always such a good listener. And, we learn a lot in the home from our male role models, don't we? And then the father is, of course, the stronger role model. But I was thinking, even in my work life, the people who were my supervisors, they gave me encouragement and really helped me and guided me along the way. And there are so many people that have done that periodically in our lives. And so, teachers who speak words of encouragement into the children's lives. And sometimes, it doesn't take very much to just give the encouragement that's needed for that particular time, just to let children know they're okay, or they're on the right track, or just to explain something that's happened in their life to them in a way that they can understand it, and to give them the assurance of the Heavenly Father too in their life, and because that's where we get our most hope. We certainly get encouragement from other people in our lives, but sometimes at the end of the day, when we've had devastating circumstances, we feel, God's the only one who understands and knows and can help us through that situation. And so it's very important early on to plant those seeds of faith in our children's lives.
That's right.
And that's the easiest time to plant them too, because as we get older, we're not as open to the Spirit of the Lord. And so that early planting of the Word and of faith. And I think that in our area, there have been lots of parents who have planted those seeds of faith, because I hear those seeds of faith coming out of the mouths of children or even young adults that I talk to. And I can tell they've been brought up in church, and their parents have reinforced the importance of having God in their life.
Right.
You know, this is near the time of Father's Day. Father's Day has passed, but in a troop transformation meeting that you were attending, we said that we really felt that one of the root causes of children having problems was the lack of fathers in the homes. And so that's where we decided that we would do some shows to talk about fatherhood. And absent fathers really impact the children's life. And I looked up some statistics, and it said 24 million children in America, 1 out of 3, live in homes without biological fathers. And then a child with a non-resident father is 54% more likely to be poorer than his or her father. And fatherless children are twice as likely to drop out of school. And in that troop transformation meeting, we were talking about what could we do to help the school system. And this was one of the things that we came up with, was to highlight the importance of fathers and to encourage the fathers in the community to really be involved. And I know I saw an article in one of the major newspapers around Father's Day, and it said that fathers have become more and more involved in childcare, and really like 3.5 times what they were maybe in the 1950s, because back then the father was the one who went to work and came home, and he put the food on the table,
kept it moving.
Yeah, kept it moving, and that was pretty much what was expected of the father. But now we expect a lot more out of the fathers, because we've realized that we need our father's influence in our lives. And I just remember one of the things that keeps me going still sometimes is a word that my daddy said to me one time. It says, "You have a lot of guts." And so sometimes when I face hard situation, I remember what Daddy said to me, and I'm able to keep on going. But I mean, it can be simple things. And I'm just reminded of even now, when a man says something very encouraging to me or affirms me, it really makes a difference in me. And so, I guess we never get too old to be affirmed, and to be affirmed by others, and women or men. But it just seems like there's a strength when a man affirms you. And so I just want to encourage the men to be conscious of the fact that there are lots of people that need a word of encouragement from you. And sometimes it might feel a little awkward if you're not used to giving words of encouragement, but I would just like to say, step out and do that, and I think that it will become more and more comfortable for you. And when I've encouraged young people, and I can see it in their eyes and in their faces what it means to them, then that gives me courage to offer another word of encouragement to somebody. And we do want to encourage men to mentor. And I was thinking today that there are a lot of people who are retired, and I know that it would mean a lot to them to have somebody in their life, a young person that they could encourage to be like a foster grandparent to, and it would encourage the young people who need somebody in their life. I was particularly thinking about the Senior Citizens Center and how, they have the Wii golf. They play not golf, but bowling.
Right.
And I was thinking I wonder if the Boys and Girls Club might have a we system that some of them could come over and just share. There are lots of things that that we can do for one another that are just out of what we're already doing, what we already enjoy. Just bring young people into that. And I also want to express appreciation for coaches. And I know that coaches take a lot of young men under their wing and teach them things that help them become a better man. And so we have lots of good men in our city, and I am so thankful for them. Would you tell me about a time that you mentored somebody and you saw results from that mentoring?
Again, that's a good one. That's a good question. There's several that I have and I'm currently still mentoring. One that sticks out is a young man named Lamar Woods, who I met through the school, but we continued to build a relationship after he left school, and he's now developing some wonderful opportunities to go to California. He's also thinking about joining the military, but he calls faithfully, listens, and he's learning so much. And you know what? I think I'm more excited about not what I say to him, but what he says back to me.
Yeah.
It's almost, to encourage me, to let me know, hey, you did good. You said something that really sparked him, where he now feels more confident than ever. And he's 19, 20 years old. I'm not his father, but I've taken the time. And it doesn't cost me anything.
Yes.
But to see this young man become productive and to be excited about life, you can't put a price tag on that. So that's been one young man who I'm really proud of, and working with so many others, but he's one that I can really honestly say I'm really glad to have the opportunity to mentor him.
Yes, and I know that you know Frederick Bailey, and he was mentored by Jerome, and Frederick ended up writing a book about that experience of being mentored, and he's a fine young man.
Yes, he is.
Out
Yes,
of
he
our
is.
community.
Yes,
And
he is.
so I just want the fathers out there to know that you truly make a difference in the lives of your children. And if there are fathers out there who are discouraged, I would just like to say, please find the courage to get back up and to mentor your children. Thank you for watching.
Got a promise from heaven. It's a year of repleven.